NowMedia Video Business Card is recorded with cutting-edge technology designed to be sent out quickly and easily using your smartphone. It features your contact information, summary of all your company's products and services, as well as giving you a fresh and innovative look. Hundreds of companies are already seeing the difference. Call us at 832-384-9588.
Welcome back, everybody. Sherman here from Now Media News. I'm excited to have here a couple guests talking to us about the PPP. So, Harrison, Norma, why don't you introduce yourselves to the audience?
Hey, great. I'm Harrison Hargrave, commercial lender located in the Galleria.
All right, wonderful. And Norma?
Norma Velasquez Harris. I'm the SBA Group Manager for Third Coast Bank.
All right, so you folks have been busy the last couple of months. This has been quite the arena of change. I jokingly asked if they were experts at the PPP, and Harrison reminded me it's only been around for a couple months.
Yeah, I've been around for a couple months, so as much of an expert as you can be at something within those few months, and it's been an ever-changing process and product, so you kind of learn it in real time.
So I know where you're abbreviating it. What's the PPP stand for those that aren't familiar?
Payroll Protection Program.
So is it ideally meant for someone that has employees, or can a solo entrepreneur apply for any of the PPP?
That's correct. There are two versions, and independent contractors, you can use your Schedule C and your net profit to calculate your loan amount. It's maxed at $100,000, and so when you do the math, it's a maximum loan amount of $20,800.
Gotcha. And so as an employer, if they haven't taken advantage of the PPP at this point, is all doors shut at this point? Should they not even look at any options to get any stimulus or any funding at this time?
There's still funds available.
Sure, there's still funds available. Go ahead.
Yep, a few $1 billion actually. We thought it was going to go relatively quick, but it's not. It's slowed down. The program is still open through June, correct, Norma?
Mm-hmm. The program actually ends June 30th.
Okay.
So if business owners have employees and they need money for payroll, there's still time to apply. They can go to their bank, they can consult their CPA, they need to get informed what to do to apply for the payroll protection.
Now are all banks, folks, are they all available to help with the PPP, or is there certain restrictions in that regard?
Well, no. So the payroll calculation is based on 2.5 months, your average payroll, gross amounts. You can use up to 25% of the funds for utilities. It's an 8-week period to exhaust those funds.
Gotcha. And so none of this has to really deal with any relationship that you have with a credit union or a bank. It's just funds that are available that you need to apply for in order for you to be able to capture that, to be able to make business continue to run. More specifically, get payroll into the hands of your employees.
Exactly. The Congress appropriated the funds. It's using the banks to get the money out to small businesses. So we have dealt with all of our clients and non-clients trying to get business owners to apply so that they can keep their employees off the unemployment lines.
So what are some of the misconceptions people have about the PPP when they're coming to you and they're kind of going through this process, which, as we know, is completely new to everybody, right? If they've gotten an SBA loan approved, there was a different process.
Yes.
Now they're coming saying, hey, I need help making payroll. Never before have businesses been able to do something like this to this kind of gravity.
Well,
Absolutely.
I would say that this is so different than the standard SBA because it's quicker.
Okay.
It's if you have payroll needs and you have the documentation, you're guaranteed approval. So it's in that sense, it's very different from a traditional SBA loan where you have to go through a long process. This is a very quick process, providing the payroll records to prove that you do have the employees, that you were in business February 29th of this year.
Okay.
As long as the business was in business in February of this year, they may qualify. They really should talk to their CPAs about getting them the payroll records for application.
Definitely. Yeah, we've been very fortunate that we have great customers, great referral partners, and great referrals from our customers that have spent a lot of time learning the program, doing their due diligence, having complete files like the 940s and 941s for your payroll documents. It certainly makes things a lot easier on us, and when we get to move quickly, we really give the compliment back to the customers, and we move quickly because you gave us everything quickly. You understood how to calculate your loan amount.
And I must say, the majority of the banks are offering PPPs. There's still funds available. We are a small community bank, but we were able to do over $480 million in PPP loans in a period of less than 2 months, because we focused on helping small business owners. That's over 3,000 applications. We have done much, much more than many large banks compared to our size.
Yes.
So we really got the money out there.
Well, that's amazing to be able to help out 3 business owners that represent thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of employees in our community, which is wonderful. And so I know a lot of people are watching, they might not be in Harris County, and so these funds are available nationwide.
That's correct.
And so definitely get in touch with your payroll provider, your CPA, your accountant that might be doing those necessary documentation. But it sounds like it's not as cumbersome as applying for a loan out of the initial gate.
It is not. It is not. And the SBA still has funds available for the regular program. So if people are thinking about buying a business, buying a franchise, buying equipment, buying real estate, those funds are also available.
Oh, wonderful.
Banks are back, lending again.
You can go to SBA.gov, and there's a lot of information there. You can even download the applications directly from SBA.gov.
Oh, wow, okay. And so having those documentation filled out, if I come to you as a commercial lender, Harrison, does that help if I'm a little bit more prepared in coming to you with that conversation?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know one of the things that, we have new problems, we have new solutions, but then there's new opportunities, right? And so there are some people out there that might be thinking of some different ways of approaching the problems that we're facing right now. And so with that, what does that look like in the loan process? What do they need to come up with if they have a product or service that they want to bring to this to market?
I would say they should contact the local SBDC, Small Business Development Center, so they can obtain guidance from SCORE and the Small Business Development Center with their business plan, with their projections before they approach a bank. Because we want the applicant to be really ready that the business plan is going to work, that they have a business plan, that they've given some thought to marketing. Marketing is extremely important. All of the components in starting a business need to be laid out before they approach the lender.
And that should be confused with the PPP and a traditional SBA loan.
That's correct. I'm speaking of the traditional SBA loans.
That's right.
Yes.
So then when it comes to loan forgiveness, I think there's a little bit of a misconception there of what that means, right? So sometimes I think people hear that and they go, oh, it's free money, and I don't need to owe anybody back that money. What's that really look like?
Well, we're right there. So that's what we'll be looking forward to over the next couple months. They actually released the relief form last Friday, so we are gearing up to take care of our existing customers. So though we are still taking applications, our first priority is taking care of our existing customers, like we did with the PPP applications in the beginning. So we really want to focus and service our clients right now and make sure that forgiveness is made and that those loans are relieved.
Okay.
And the forgiveness really means if you receive $50,000 in funds for payroll, now the next step is to verify that you've used the funds for that purpose. If you have, you provide the documentation, and the federal government will not require you to pay back the loan. There is a true forgiveness. The loan is written off. It becomes a grant from the federal government.
That's amazing. So if the proof truly is there, the business really gave out those funds in regards to payroll to those employees, the documentation's there, the loan is truly forgiven.
That's right. And 75% of the proceeds of the loan had to be used for payroll. The other 25% could be used for rent, interest expense, other eligible uses of funds.
Gotcha. Okay. And so I got to imagine 3,000 clients to go back and serve and make sure that all that documentation, it's got to be all hands on deck at the bank.
Well said. We've used that phrase a lot, and it's been really fun, even through the long hours. It's really been a joy, the camaraderie, people working together. And so we've been fortunate too, because a lot of banks didn't take on new customers. They only focused on their existing. We took on new customers, and we didn't have requirements on new accounts. Well, a lot of most actually did open new accounts, and to their benefit, we'll be able to provide a basic paper trail. You have the loan funds coming in, you have the payroll funds going out. With that transaction set and your payroll documents, we're going to hopefully be able to help a lot on the relief part.
Any of the businesses that now I've heard some folks that have taken out, they qualified for the PPP, they got some funds, and they went to their employees, and the employee said, "I don't want to come to work." Have you heard of any situations like that where people that they applied, they qualified, and all of a sudden now getting back to work was just too cumbersome or it was too difficult?
Yes, and the SBA has put out specific guidance about that. There is more guidance coming. We believe that during the next couple of weeks, there may be a change to the forgiveness period. You had to use the funds within 8 weeks. There's proposed legislation perhaps to extend that. So what we say to the applicants is sit tight on the forgiveness part. Just make sure you use the funds for payroll. If you don't use them up, don't use them for other purposes, because there is more guidance coming. But yes, the SBA is very aware that that situation is happening.
Yeah, so you think about a lot of those non-essential businesses that weren't able to open the way they used to. You think about a lot of the restaurants, right, that weren't, or even now, even with our open 50% capacity. And even then, some people just don't feel comfortable coming back in. And so being able to have that much people on payroll might not necessarily make sense during this particular time.
But I must say that the program was intended to keep people employed and off the unemployment lines, even if you don't necessarily need your 10 employees. If you have the funds, you're supposed to use it to pay those until you can reopen fully, and then the revenues will begin to come. So it's a gap. It's bridging that gap.
It was meant to bridge that gap, which is
Absolutely.
wonderful. Anything else that's happening there at Third Coast, guys, that you're excited to be able to let the public know about that's happening right now?
We have developed so many wonderful new relationships from the PPP loans.
Absolutely.
We have made excellent customers that were with big banks and now have discovered the joy of working with a community bank that is locally based, that has people like Harrison that give you the personal attention, answer the phone. So that's the exciting news that we have.
Definitely. And, SBA continues to provide products and relief. If you currently have an SBA 7A loan, the SBA is paying 6 months of those loan payments. That's very significant. Even new loans now, they're paying 6 months of those loan payments. Mm-hmm. So they're, as sad of times as it is, there's still a lot of opportunity out there, and some businesses are moving on and taking advantage of those opportunities.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. A lot of times you hear about the doomsday or the negativism that's existing, right, where people are shuttering, they're putting people on furlough, but it's nice to hear that there are businesses looking at the opportunities to expand, to take the opportunity to really get their employees back to work and really take advantage of what's happening in the marketplace right now. As people pull back, then there's those that see opportunity and can continue to move forward, and it sounds like the SBA is giving people the opportunity and kind of a runway to not have to make some of those payments for months.
6 months is a huge help for all of the 7A, 504 borrowers. So we let business owners know the federal government has been behind you to help you with small business owners.
Now, NowMedia News is also available in podcast format and audio format. So how can someone get in touch with you folks?
Well, we have a great website. We have, for a relatively small bank our size, we have invested in technology, our website, our application. You can see all of our branches, all of the lenders at those branches. It's probably the best to go take a check there.
tcbssb.com.
Okay. All right, folks. And then specifically, if someone has questions about like the PPP, where's the best place for them to find that information?
Actually, our website, the opening page now has all of the PPP information, the qualifications, everything. And like Harrison was saying, our website has a directory of lenders, so you can actually contact the lenders, get their contact information on our webpage.
And as mentioned before, SBA.gov.
SBA.gov.
Yes.
I would encourage to read
Yes.
SBA's rules and learn the different products before contacting, right? And it's a better conversation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And there are CPAs. The CPAs have been very well informed about the program to help their customers.
And a lot of fantastic CPAs.
Well, that's nice that CPAs, that since they were able to push the deadline from April now to July on some of the personal the tax returns, that's been nice for them.
Yes.
But obviously they've been extremely busy then, working alongside with, I'm sure, a lot of banks and credit unions in the community. So really appreciate you guys taking the time to come out and share that information. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to make sure that you made aware to the public?
Not that I can think of, hang in there, everybody, and we'll get to our new normal and give Third Coast Bank a try. We have the highest service, and we won't let you down.
Well, it sounds like you guys did a phenomenal job on your all hands on deck. Serving 3,000 employers is phenomenal work. So really, congrats to you and hats off to you. That's a lot of work that's being able to make sure that there's a lot of employees, mothers, fathers, individuals, adults that are working, staying employed in our great community. So thank you so much.
We have a great team of employees at Third Coast Bank, so thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
So one of the things that I would encourage anybody, that's especially if you're in small business, to check out the website sba.gov, see what avenues are out there. As Harrison mentioned, there's opportunity, folks. There's loan forgiveness. There's also those that can still qualify for the PPP. At the same time, if you're looking to expand, there's opportunity. If you're looking to start a business, it sounds like there's still funds available. As Nora mentioned, not making a payment on your loan for 6 months is a major thing. So they're identifying ways to be able to help us reinvigorate the economy, and it truly a lot of times happens with small business. So we're excited about all the great work that you're doing and helping business owners out there. We're going to take a quick break, everybody, and we're going to bring back on Maite, and she's going to be talking about COBRA and health insurance.
Our nation is being seriously affected, not only emotionally, but also clinically. Parents or guardians dealing with a teenager in crisis that require transport to an appropriate treatment facility makes that decision even more difficult. My Armor Services Transport is here to help. Their agents are personal protection officers and private investigators, state certified and trained to accommodate firm boundaries and de-escalations, all while recognizing your loved one's sense of individuality and dignity. Most times your loved one will not respond favorably to being placed in a treatment program. Positive and safe transportation assistance becomes critical when violent or defiant behavior to a placement is anticipated. My Armor Services Transport understands this is a difficult time for you and your family. They are committed to transporting your loved one with dignity, respect, securely, and with compassion. Let them assist with this heavy burden. Call today at 1-800-341-0919 and let My Armor Services Transport be the first strong step you take toward resolving this difficult and complicated issue.
The right tax team is key to any successful business. At America's Tax Firm, our goal is to help individuals and businesses of all sizes with accounting solutions and tax strategies that yield profitability, sustainability, and growth. At America's Tax Firm, we have a team of experienced tax consultants and advisors that can help your company optimize business strategies to minimize taxes and reduce liabilities. From preparing and filing your personal or business taxes, or choosing the right legal structure for your business, to resolving complex tax issues with the IRS. America's Tax Firm is your turnkey solution. Take a strong and decisive step and let America's Tax Firm be part of your success.
Hello, I'm Jose Hernandez, retired NASA astronaut, entrepreneur, and proud son of migrant farm workers. Our migrant families do very important work. Many follow the harvest and move frequently throughout the U.S. and thus have many needs. One way to improve your family's future is by participating in the 2020 census. The census only occurs every 10 years, but it affects public funding for clinics, schools, and other essential programs for our communities. Each person must be counted at the address where they live the most during the year. However, if you move frequently, don't worry. Simply fill out your questionnaire where you are living on April 1st, 2020. The information you provide is confidential and is not shared with other government organizations. The future of our families depends on you. So make yourself count before July 31st. For more information, visit the website 2020census.gov.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us this evening in our newscast today. And now we see a beautiful scenery of New York. Look at that. It's almost empty. Well, today we have something very interesting to share with you. As you know, millions of Americans have lost their jobs and therefore their benefits. And today with us is Sarah Marley-Clark with U.S. Health Advisors that's going to talk to us about health insurance. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for joining us. What does COBRA stand for?
COBRA stands for Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act. So this was put together for continuous coverage when someone is let go from their corporate job. And there's not always a lot of information sent to the person. And of course, it's a big change in lifestyle, big change in life event. And so I wish sometimes that there was somebody there that could explain what to do. And is COBRA my only option? Because that's what they feel. I know this for personal experience. My husband and I decided to leave corporate America and then realized, oh, wait a minute, what are we going to do with our health care?
And you have a very inspiring story to share with the audience, right?
Yes, thank you. So when my husband got his COBRA package, at first it was, I think, $1,600 a month for a family of four. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is so expensive. Then to come to find out that that was the portion of it was paid by the company, and then 4 months later we were given the full COBRA bill, which was $2,500 a month, and we had two little ones at home, and I thought, this is ridiculous. So that's when we started looking at other options and figuring out what's available out there on the market. So there's a lot of different places that you can go and look. But be educated and find someone you trust. With COBRA, it could be a good continuous plan because it does keep your full benefits from the job that you had before. But some people can't afford paying $2,500 if they've just lost their jobs. So there are a couple of options. There's private, and then there's the marketplace, which is Obamacare, the ACA plan, which is also known as. And so because you've lost your job, then that ensures that you have a special circumstance to get that coverage. The downside to that is that it is an HMO versus a PPO. And the difference between that is the HMO only allows you a smaller opportunity of doctors and hospitals to use, whereas a PPO would allow you full coverage across the country and more doctors and hospitals available.
And what happens to someone that doesn't have health insurance and is looking for what other alternatives besides that do they have?
So there are private insurance. I handle that. There are a lot of different plans depending on what your coverage needs are and what your budget is.
Can you mention some of the different plans that you would recommend?
Well, I can't get into product specific, but it all depends on whether what coverage you need. If you want 80/20, do you want 60/40 coverage, or a plan that's it's really more of an individual one-on-one basis that I would deal with.
In Canada, it must be a little bit different how the system works there versus how it works here.
Yes.
What's your take about that? What do you think?
Well, I was quite young when I left Canada. I was healthy and 21 years old,
Right.
so I didn't have to worry about healthcare so much. And then I was working with a corporate company that was in Canada and the United States. So when I came across the border, I was just given my package, and I noticed that I ended up getting my life now.
Improvement.
Well, I think it's something that we could all improve on. I think that you really have to educate yourself every step of the way to ensure that you have the proper coverage for your family. Some people look into different plans and they say, oh, that's great. And then something catastrophe happens and they realize they're not covered because they're on a health share plan or a different type of insurance. So you really want to be educated and knowing exactly what you're providing for you and your family.
What has been your experience during COVID-19?
Well, it's been scary. There are two network providers that have confirmed that they will pay for everything, and that's Cigna and Humana. So if you're on one of those networks, it's a nice peace of mind to know that if you should get COVID-19, that you will be taken care of. But it's been a bit of a scare factor for some. If they're uninsured, they may be rushing to get insurance, or they may be waiting to find out how things might change in the future and want to write it out at home and then come talk to me. So I've had sort of a lot of those kinds of conversations over the last 2.5 months.
Any interesting stories that you would like to share during this COVID-19?
I have not personally have been affected by it, or had any of my clients or potential clients have had it. So I've been very lucky. I've just been trying to field the questions of people who are scared and want to know what their options are. So just trying to educate and help people in that respect.
Any people affected by COVID-19?
Not that I've personally had to work with, no.
No.
So we've been very fortunate with how low our numbers have been in the area. I haven't been out much, but I'm seeing that Texas is starting to open up, and people are social distancing and wearing their masks. From what I've seen in the last 2 days that I've been out driving, but really have been staying close to home with my family.
Okay, very good. Sarah Marley has shared with us some very valuable information about health insurance in the middle of COVID-19, where everybody is worried and concerned, where millions of Americans have lost their jobs and, of course, their benefits. So thank you for joining us today, and thank you for coming to NowMedia News. And we will have a break, and we'll go to commercial. And we'll be back in just in a few minutes.
Thank
Bacteria and viruses like COVID-19, as well as indoor toxins, are a serious and sometimes deadly risk for your children, your loved ones, and your employees. Earth Blue Systems is the solution that ensures a seamless sanitization and odor elimination process by using ozone, nature's powerful and safe oxidizer. As a matter of fact, there are no known bacteria or viruses which are resistant to ozone and its oxidizing effects. Ozone is one of the most powerful disinfectants available, eliminating the need for harsh chemicals or detergents. Ozone gas from Earth Blue's process leaves absolutely no residue. Clothing, bedding, and linens will be sanitized and smelling fresh and clean, but most importantly, sanitized. Food is not harmed. In fact, ozone is approved by the FDA as a food additive preservative and is commonly used for water purification. Earth Blue Systems technology is a less costly alternative to other methods of solving mold and air quality issues. Take a strong and decisive step to keep your family and company odorless and safe. Contact Earth Blue Systems at 713-419-7506.
this digital age, conventional business cards are a thing of the past. In fact, most people lose them in minutes of having received them. The NowMedia video business card is recorded with cutting-edge technology designed to be sent out quickly and easily using your smartphone. It features your contact information, summary of all your company's products and services, as well as giving you a fresh and innovative look. Hundreds of companies are already seeing the difference. Call us at 832-384-9588.
The right tax team is key to any successful business. At America's Tax Firm, our goal is to help individuals and businesses of all sizes with accounting solutions and tax strategies that yield profitability, sustainability, and growth. At America's Tax Firm, we have a team of experienced tax consultants and advisors that can help your company optimize business strategies to minimize taxes and reduce liabilities. From preparing and filing your personal or business taxes, or choosing the right legal structure for your business, to resolving complex tax issues with the IRS, America's Tax Firm is your turnkey solution. Take a strong and decisive step and let America's Tax Firm be part of your success.
The Minnesota Vikings.
Welcome back to NowMedia News. This is Sherman, your co-host.
And this is Maite Ballesteros. Thanks for joining us. And the Houston Texans have announced their preseason schedule. The first game is scheduled to be on August 14th against the Minnesota Vikings. And then on week 2, August 22nd, it will be against the Seattle Seahawks, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so it'll be exciting to see where this goes, right? As we talked about yesterday in the news, that Governor Abbott here in the state of Texas allowed sporting events to occur, right? Basketball, football, various sporting events, but there's no fans. As of right now, the NFL hasn't come out and said whether there's going to be a fan inside those stadiums, since we have till the end of August, really before, or the middle part of August, before the preseason and season really starts hitting. So it will be really interesting to see how this starts to play out with COVID-19 and everything else.
So what's going to happen to the rest of the sports? What do you think?
I think for a lot of folks to try to get at least the players back and active and playing and competing, I think they'll be playing in front of a no spectator crowd, even though they'll be in these big stadiums and coliseums and fields. But yet nobody will be there except the staff and the crew in order to film the broadcast.
And I imagine that in order to play, there will be some restrictions that the players have to follow. Do you think that they're going to have to follow some restrictions? I imagine so.
No, you bring up a really good point. I think some of the concerns for the players is, do they have to self-quarantine for a certain time period?
Right.
Are they only playing in certain cities? Are only doing home games? And so it definitely creates this difficulty. You know, you look at the PGA announcing golf, it makes it really easy because it already is a game of social distancing to a certain extent, right? You're not really touching another player's clubs. You're not really getting into their space. A lot of times when they're walking next to their caddy, and so they already are in a sense practicing social distancing. When it comes to a tennis match, the only thing that you're actually sharing is that tennis ball.
Right.
And so, you know, how many times does that get touched? And so there's different ways that sports arenas are looking, and sporting ventures and professional sports is looking at adjusting to this going forward. So it's going to be quite
interesting.
Yes.
But I imagine that they will have to have a medical exam or temperature checking. Wearing masks. I don't know.
It's a really good point. I know that Ford plant had opened up, and then unfortunately someone was tested positive today. They had to clean it, send everybody home, and then they're going to reopen tomorrow. So we're going to break for a quick commercial, folks. We're going to come right back and give you really the highlights of the news. We're going to run down a rundown. So hear a word from our sponsor, please.
In this digital age, conventional business cards are a thing of the past. In fact, most people lose them in minutes of having received them. The NowMedia Video Business Card is recorded with cutting-edge technology designed to be sent out quickly and easily using your smartphone. It features your contact information, summary of all your company's products and services, as well as giving you a fresh and innovative look. Hundreds of companies are already seeing the difference. Call us at 832-384-9588.
The right tax team is key to any successful business. At America's Tax Firm, our goal is to help individuals and businesses of all sizes with accounting solutions and tax strategies that yield profitability, sustainability, and growth. At America's Tax Firm, we have a team of experienced tax consultants and advisors that can help your company optimize business strategies to minimize taxes and reduce liabilities. From preparing and filing your personal or business taxes, or choosing the right legal structure for your business, to resolving complex tax issues with the IRS, America's Tax Firm is your turnkey solution. Take a strong and decisive step and let America's Tax Firm be part of your success.
Welcome back to Now Media News. That is a live shot of South Carolina. This is Sherman On, co-host of Now Media News.
And this is Maite Ballesteros. Thank you for joining us this evening.
So one of the announcements that just came out is the WHO announced that this was a single day of actual increase after it seemed like we were flattening the curve. So talk a little bit about that, Maite. What's happened?
Well, apparently in Brazil there's been a raise of cases, and they don't know exactly why. Maybe because they have not followed the measures and the social distancing. But in other cities in the world also, including the United States,
known so far is that Central and South America seem to have a lower amount of cases throughout, but all of a sudden Brazil announced over 20,000 new cases today alone. Mm-hmm. And you're right, Maite, that was due to the lack of stay-at-home orders. Their borders are still open, so I know some of that came from travelers from Argentina, Peru, and so with that, all eyes are on Brazil because now
I was taking it a little bit lightly on measures on protecting people from COVID-19, and so maybe that's one of the reasons why Brazil is spiking on the cases.
Yeah, and you can see there on the map that we're showing you the different spikes that have occurred. You can see the epicenter of the United States. You can see the total right now, current confirmed cases, 4.8 million. You can see Brazil there at the very tip in South America really hitting off. But you have some different spots where it's very highly concentrated. Those parts of Europe, Italy, Spain, really having some really large amounts of cases, large amounts of fatalities, unfortunately, due to COVID-19. And so I know for here in the United States, one of the concerns is as we reopen across the various states is to make sure people are still practicing social distancing, encouraging people to still wear masks, because it's not about us being healthy and safe. It's about passing that on if we are feeling healthy and safe.
Right. It's also about protecting others too, wearing gloves, wearing the mask, or practicing social distancing appropriately. Yeah.
So I want to go down to a little what I'm going to call the rundown here. We're going to go rip some of these headlines right off of the news. Some of this is coming from the NewYorkTimes.com. So number one, you might have seen that FEMA was announced to head out to Michigan. There was a dam that erupted after heavy amounts of rain that occurred last night. Places of Dow Chemical, some industrial spots have had to no employees are coming in just due to that. Also, we saw that there's a huge storm coming out of India. Unfortunately, Bangladesh has had to move over 2 million people in concern of this, 1.4 to 2 million people. And so the concern is that they've already had stay-at-home orders, and how is this going to affect their economy now that you have this huge push of people being having to flee that part of the country. And so there's a lot of natural disasters as we look at what's happening here in the United States, kind of in the Gulf Coast area. We're going to start approaching hurricane season, and I know that has a lot of scientists looking at how that's going to affect things, where we already have a lot of people staying at home, and how that's going to affect the population as a whole.
Well, hopefully that won't. Hopefully, we won't have a lot of natural disasters. We already had to go through COVID-19, which was already, a disaster. Thank you.
We're gonna get real local here. I know Judge Lena had actually approved a $3 million stimulus to be able to help with rent. That's a big deal. They're hoping, the anticipation is that $30 million should help around 6,000 people. Over 12,000 people receive a check of
Right.
up to $1,500 to pay for rent. And so last time when they did this a couple weeks ago, that $15 million was gone in 90 minutes. There were 17,000 applications, and only 6,000 was approved. And so we're hopeful that will be able to alleviate some of the struggle that were occurring for some people here in our city to be able to get some loans for rent.
Yeah, that would be definitely a relief for some families that are struggling or that they lost their jobs.
Mm-hmm. And so if you need assistance right now, I know that for food, I know that for children that aren't receiving food.
Right, there are some resources that we can
absolutely,
refer
yes.
to our audience.
Houston ISD is providing lunch for those families, particularly those children that were typically in school receiving breakfast, lunch, and even a kind of a light dinner. Also, we have the Houston Food Bank. I know that there's an ever-growing need for people to donate blood as well, as we are fighting this disease, and it's caused a lot of resources to be utilized. So for anyone that is open and able to donate blood, definitely reach out to your local food bank, blood centers to be able to donate really what you have to those that are in need.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody, we appreciate you for tuning in. If you want to catch any of this, you can see NowMediaRadio.com, and we have the broadcast continuing to be sent out to you. This is Sherman On.
And this is Maite Valles.